I mean, I think the really important thing for people to understand is that when we're talking about the free economy, you can use the word capitalism if you want. That's not the greatest word, I think, even though it's in the subtitle of my book. But let's talk about economic freedom or free enterprise. What we're dealing with is, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not the Lord of the Flies. It's not anarchy in which everybody just gets to do what they want to do. Often when you hear free, if a kid hears that they're free to do something, they just think that means, oh, I can do whatever I want to do. That's not what freedom means, certainly in the Western context. I'm talking about ordered liberty in which there's a rule of law. So I'm not free to steal from my neighbor. I'm restricted because of the rule of law from doing that. But what happens is that when that rule of law is in place, it actually enables a greater and higher form of freedom called freedom for excellence. So for instance, a child, right, who my daughters both play the piano. Initially, before they had had a piano lesson, they were free to sit down and plunk on the piano, right? But were they free to play Mozart or Handel? No, or Debussy? No, of course not, because they didn't have the skills. They didn't know the rules. But once they did that, the more they've practiced and learned about music, the more free they are to make beautiful music with the piano. That's freedom for excellence, and that's what the rule of law sets up. And so we're talking about economic freedom. That's what we're talking about, a context with the rule of law, a limited government that's charged with defending the rule of law, but is not so powerful that it violates the rule of law. So I would argue that economic freedom is really the golden mean. I mean, people often will say, well, we want some third way between capitalism and socialism. Well, that's a false dilemma. The real sort of spectrum would be anarchy on one side, just pure anarchy, right? And totalitarianism or authoritarianism on the other, in which the state occupies all of society. Well, where's the midpoint? Well, the midpoint is where the state is enforcing the rule of law, but then allows people the freedom to exchange in sort of voluntary activity. That's economic freedom as the defenders at least understand it.